Coming at you from Scratchroll Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. It's your very favorite World of the Apocalypse podcast. As always, I'm your host, Porter. Sitting across from me, I'm not even sure which one I want to give him right now. It's Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
All the nicknames that were in the chamber. You're so lucky.
And you could have hit him with both barrels there.
There's like 4 or 5, frankly.
From alone.
And yeah, you know those two voices. That is Mr. CJ McDonald.
Howdy, y'all.
And just M. It's just M.
Hello.
Welcome to Rage Across the Internet. It's very hot today, and we're all slowly dying.
Well, you three are.
Yes, it's perfectly nice where you are. It's ridiculous.
Yes, I'm in Sweden, and the temperature is fantastic this summer.
It's just like a lovely 70 with a nice breeze. It's like 98 here outside.
Which means it's like 110 in here. Just kidding.
He's not far off.
It's not far off, though.
It is hotter in here in the studio
Probably.
than outside.
Well, the equipment and stuff, and bodies.
Right.
I mean...
And they're starting to smell, too.
Yeah,
you really need to start burying people. It's like, you can't use this place as storage anymore.
Well, I guess.
What do you expect?
Yeah,
well, this freezer's full. So, yeah.
Don't implicate me in your bullshit.
You did it first.
So welcome back to Rage Across the Internet, show where we talk about all aspects of World of the Apocalypse and clearly some other unhinged shit every now and then. If it's not your first show, welcome back. It's glad to have you with us, and we'll do our best. Seriously, the heat is unbearable here. We are slowly melting away. How is everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. Not melting nearly as much as you guys are right now.
Yeah.
Getting there, but not quite.
It's nice to see on cameras. These two are all like fucking cool and relaxed, and we look like Tommy Lee Jones. Like our flesh is melting like a fucking candle.
Yeah, I'm just happily sitting here waiting for my dinner, so.
Right. Air conditioning, DoorDash. Oh, you can have all of those things. In fact, you do have all of those things at your home.
I don't have air conditioning.
Do you live in a tundra?
Yeah, air conditioning's not required.
Right, like you don't need it.
It feels
It's
good in
included
here.
in the region.
Right?
Yeah, built-in air conditioning in the environment.
Your floor is a glacier. I don't...
Weird.
Actually, if we turn the furnace on, the floor is heated.
What?
Yeah, the heat spreads through the floor and it keeps you nice and warm in the winter. It's fantastic.
I'm going to be honest, that is one of the bougiest things I've heard from M.
Ever.
Very common here, apparently. I was impressed by it, though, because holy moly.
So there's like pipes and stuff that are connected to the furnace into the floor?
Yeah, so like water runs through them, and the furnace heats up the water, and you can like set what temperature you want the furnace to pump out into the water, and the water runs through the pipes, and the pipes heat the floors in the house.
That's pretty awesome. MC Hammer had a similar deal. It's true. Oh, and his floors were marble.
Oh, no.
And see, that's why he doesn't have his house anymore.
In the summer, since it gets hot, if it's too hot in the house, you just open up one of the windows at night, and then in the morning you close it. The house is so well insulated that it keeps the house cool all day.
So if you're new, this is a segment we like to call This Week in Bullshit. We just kind of led immediately into it.
We did, yes.
A little bit.
That's fine.
So yeah, to take Denny out of suspense finally, we're going to start off with just a little context to help build it up so he is waiting just a little longer.
Of course.
Stellar Blade had recently come out on PC and got re-released on PlayStation with all the DLC recently, and I picked it up and have been playing the shit out of it. Porter as well, and this is where we get into one of the early puzzles in this game. You gotta like find a door code, and normally you find it off of a dead body, like they have like little PDAs or whatever that have like their codes written down on it. But to find this door code, there isn't a dead body in the area. If you take a certain amount of time on some of these little codes and or puzzles in the game, a little hint icon pops up that you can actually press and activate. It usually give you some hint. Well, off in the distance, not too far away, but like clearly in focus, and just like a little up and to the right of this door that you're entering the code in is a massive clock tower. And the hint basically says, check the time. Porter had gotten to this section first, and it was a little while after that I got a random DM of like, hey, just so you make sure, just so you know for this puzzle, you might have to look up how to read an analog clock versus a digital. And of course, you know, we're having our fun. We're busting each other's balls about it. I get to that section while we're in a chat the next night. And I also realized, you know what? They put that hint there because the characters like actively mention the clock tower. I wonder what it's for.
Sure.
Or, you know, what's so special about it? The whole like, hey, idiot, this is what you're needing to find the code before they give you the hint icon. And there's a part of me that wonders, did they have to do that because there's enough people out there who can't tell time on an analog clock anymore?
See, I just thought it was funny. So I DM'd him the answer, right? I'm like, yeah, see, I know you might have trouble reading this. So here's the answer. He's like, you son of a bitch.
And it's just like one of those things of like, is that really an issue now? Or are they just playing it up for this game and being like, hey, idiot, if it took you this long, you're blind? Or is it the case of like, yeah, no, there might be enough people who don't know how to tell time like that? This is where we're going to learn. Danny never learned how to read an analog clock.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know how. I don't
believe him.
What do you mean?
Yeah, he says that.
I've known you a long time. I know when you're overcompensating for something. So does, never mind.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, in the last episode, you said you didn't listen to Limp Bizkit, but you had it in your recommended on YouTube. So
look at him try to lie. Do you see him? Do you see him trying to form a lie?
I can smell the smoke from here.
Oh my God, guys!
You're on camera. They can see what you look like when you're trying to come up with a lie. Now
I'm not coming up with anything.
I know you're not coming up with anything, but you were trying until I called you out.
I got nothing.
Well,
with Danny's attempt here aside, Silverblade is a very good game, and I recommend it. It's a fun game, and it looks beautiful.
So what do you got, Porter?
It's been a while for me since I properly sat down with some crappy horror movies.
Oh.
You know, I generally like to watch, you know, just whatever. Yeah. You know, I mean, I like horror, right? So like I'll go to Shudder to look for something maybe that I'll enjoy. And then I'll go to Tubi for something awful to keep me entertained in the background. Okay.
Yep.
They're very different uses.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's the yin and the yang.
Thank you. And I pulled one up the other day. So it's because again, it's been a while since I've just been in the mood for it, which, you know, whatever. And I don't even remember the name of this movie because I couldn't get. I certainly didn't finish them. I didn't get to Act 2.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I can't even tell you what it was. But I don't even think I got to the credits, like to the title crawl.
Oh.
Because it was like a 10-minute cold open, and it might not have been 10 minutes. It felt like 30 years.
Oh, no.
But it starred Justin Long.
Oh.
And now I like Justin Long.
Yeah.
All right. He has his uses. But, like, it's him and this woman who is too old for him to be dating.
Okay.
Which might not be true, but Justin Long, like Michael J. Fox.
Uh-huh.
You know, he's got the Michael J. Fox, the thing where he looks like he's 15 years old until he turns 65, and then he looks like he's 108.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you know, Justin Long still looks like he's 20-something.
Yes.
Like, I think he's in his 60s. But the woman he's upset with looks like she's in her late 30s to early 40s. She's not ugly or anything. But because Justin Long looks like a child constantly, they look completely mismatched.
Makes sense.
You know, she's got the crow's feet and like the age lines because life has been hard. Sure. And he's like, hey, missus, how are you? You know?
His voice still cracks.
Yeah. And like he's like, in the whole thing is like he's in the driver's seat and he's driving her home from their date. And he's like the awkward guy, like, did you want me to come walk into the door? She's like, yeah, I would. He's fucking, will you come over here and fuck me? And he's like, oh, it's so weird.
Talk about typecasting.
Right. It's like, I'm so annoyed with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just watching, and it's just, like I said, it's dragging out. It might have been 5 minutes. It felt like 15 years. And he finally gets her to, it's like a castle. You live here? She's like, yeah, that's great. Just fucking, will you come in here and like fuck me so I can murder you? And, and like, I can't even get to the murder because I'm like, it's fucking Justin Long. I had to turn the shit off. I couldn't do it.
I will say this, Porter, the mention of the bad movies actually just reminded me of something I saw the other day on fucking online that I think you'll get a kick out of.
All right.
In the World of Darkness subreddit, I saw somebody making a post of what clan, tribe, or tradition Shonuff would be if he was in the World of Darkness.
Shonuff!
Ooh. For those of you unaware, that is Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, from Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Movie is just chef's kiss.
Yes,
B
it is.
movie greatness. I want to say a Bonar or a Stargazer because he's got the glow.
The glow!
Yep. I am now imagining a Bonar Kyliderani.
I can't even fathom the
we might have a
circumstances
project.
of which that would.
I love it. It's my new character concept.
It's not. You will have to pay out Kylindo at 4 times the normal cost.
Worth it. Every single
Worth it for the
experience
glow.
point will be going to that. He sucks at everything except that. He's got to have the glow.
I like M's little pizza dance party going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Especially like the finger gun break. Like this shrimp pizza is so good, I'm turning into Cowboy Curtis.
Fucking hell.
But that pretty much covers our This Week in
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's close
So
enough.
let's move on to the show proper.
Yeah.
We have a little something. I don't know if we're calling this a 101. I don't know. I'm kind of bored with the labels. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's the least important part right now. But what we're doing is we're going to talk about the Rite of Passage. And I think there are things to say.
There's lots of things to say. I know we talked about doing some of the earlier episodes and redoing them. And this is kind of one of those. Because, like you've said a few times, every show is someone's first show.
Okay?
Okay.
It's just something for you to go off on, that's all.
Like, okay. You were bouncing around a lot and you didn't know how to take it. It was a little jarring.
Yeah. I was pretending I
So when you're doing a Rite of Passage, it's important, to remember that before your Rite of Passage, that you're not actually an official member of the Gyro Nation. You're kind of nothing.
Yeah. Not even considered really Garu.
It's also important to note that you're a little bit untouchable at this point.
What do you mean untouchable?
Well, it's
What does that mean?
Well, it means it's an extreme taboo to physically harm a Garu prior to their first change. Or not their first change, excuse me, the Rite of Passage. They're nothing. They're basically babies. It's a total party foul to stomp out a baby.
Unless it's a menace.
I feel like that's still a baby, though. I mean, you don't want to do anything to actually injure it or give it any more disability than it already has, right?
If nobody knows about it.
That was funny.
Yeah, I forgot about that part about the whole taboo about harming any of the Cubs before their Rite of Passage.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things,
It makes sense.
I mean, it does. And technically, when you go back prior to the Rite of Passage, and it depends on, again, your source, is that the Gyro, obviously, they're untouchable. They're not supposed to be hurt.
Cubs.
Yeah, it's prior to the Rite of Passage. They're nothing. They're not Gyro. It's that rite of passage that not only gives you your tribe, but your place as an officially is a Garu. You're now accepted as Garu. So prior to that, right, you're supposed to be untouchable, but also you're supposed to be ignored until you're sent on your right, which doesn't make sense because how do you know anything at all before you're right?
Right.
It varies by what source you're getting the information from.
Also, tribe.
Yeah.
Well, that's still which source where you get your information. You have even by book, not even edition, by individual book. It can vary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is fun when you're putting shit together.
It is. But it does offer some creative freedom as well with how do these characters actually accept these traditions. But at the same time, it would help if there was a more concise answer somewhere.
It certainly would. And obviously having the company line, that this is the rules it's supposed to be versus the reality of it. I mean, that's something we get used to and exceptions can be made and blah, blah, blah. But yes, to have a cut and dry, this is what the company line is,
would help.
And have that stick, would be cool. But then again, I have a problem with the rite of passage as written. And again, we put the asterisk there too. Because obviously when you are playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, you're probably not going to have a group that is all one tribe. You can make the decision to put that together, but unless you do that, the odds are you are not playing a game of just Bone Gnawers or just Silent Striders.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes back to your whole thought process and kind of actually also confirmed by Mr. Mark Ryan Hagan that it was kind of started out to be all one tribe at a time as far as a pack goes when starting games.
Hence the creation of the games, but often now that's not really the case.
Right. It's you're going to have to, but again, you have to make a conscious effort to put that sort of game together. Which creates a little bit of a disconnect when we look at these rites of passage, if you will. Rite of's passage, however you want to pluralize it.
I like ofs.
So when looking at the roots as of passages, you can take a look at the tribe books, and most of them, most of them.
Or at least a good number of them.
It's ridiculous that I can't say all here.
I know.
Yep.
This is one of these times where, as much as I love this game, this is where I come down on shit. It is ridiculous that this isn't included in every one. But in the vast majority of the revised tribe books, and that is going to revise this third edition, but it is the second tribe book. So tribe book 1 is a second edition book, and tribe book 2 is a third edition book, and we're just out of luck beyond that point. So when these get used interchangeably, you can be less confused. Tribe book 2 is the third edition. You just got to add one for shipping and handling. I don't know what. No.
Welcome to the time of verse early.
Right. So when you look through the second tribe books, the vast majority have a section that deals with the rite of passage based on tribe.
Right.
Obviously, it's the tribe book. What do you know?
Correct.
And they go through what is the standard rite of passage for that particular tribe. Now we're going to talk about those. But before we do, and probably after we do also, I have to point out that these are only good if you're specifically working with that tribe.
Or maybe as like part of like a background to a character, but still, it's only for that tribe.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Is it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a bunch of characters to run a specific tribe's rite of passage unless that is baked into their background.
Yeah. Be it they're all going to be the same tribe, or maybe they all came up at the same set.
Right.
It is predominantly one tribe.
And then you go into the, well, but only one of these characters is actually playing, say, a Get a Fenris.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the rest of them running this right for? Well, they came up in that sept, sure. But see, now you have to plan around that, right?
Yep.
Unfortunately, they really only break these down by tribes. And even then, I mean, there are other sources, right? Case in point, there's the Rites of Passage book, which we have brought up from time to time. And the thing about the Rites of Passage book is it is super first edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So completely different than what we're reading as far as the Tribe books, which are revised, the second version of Tribe book.
Yeah, it's, well, then you keep in mind there's 20 as well. So we've come a long way from first edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we've really talked about this in the show, but I came up with a great metaphor for the werewolf editions.
Okay.
And I think I was saving it for like the edition wars that we're never really going to do. Because it's just not practical.
Yeah.
Like we'd like to do it. It's just not a good use of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to compare it to Ghostbusters. Right.
Okay.
Is that first edition is akin to Dan Aykroyd's original script.
Okay.
Where they were time travelers, they had little fairy wands that they used to hit the ghosts, and like it was just kind of all over the place and unhinged and full of not completely formed ideas, but there were good ideas there. And then there were other ideas as well.
There were some good ideas.
A good core with a lot of everything else.
Yeah. And that's first edition as far as, and then you get second edition, which is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is like a perfect movie. And second edition is just werewolf at its core, at its most pure. And then you move into revised, which is a continuation of second edition. Let's be clear on that. Revised is just the next part. It's the next chapter of second edition. It moves the timeline forward, and that's really just about all that it does and all that it needs to do. Like Ghostbusters 2. Is it as good as Ghostbusters 1? No. There's nothing wrong with it.
But it is the logical next step.
Exactly. But so you kind of want to put those together and look at them together like that.
Yeah.
And then you have 20. And the cool thing about 20 is like the Jason Reitman sequels.
Okay.
I forget their names now. Because Afterlife and Frozen Apocalypse or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But you see, here's the thing though, right? Is that's W20. It's the nostalgia trip. Though we loved this so much, it's been a long time. Let's take the love for this in our hearts and let's make this edition. And it's somebody's memory of it. And I'm not having a go at it, but it's really what it's akin to. It's like, it's been
so
long and we're coming back as a nostalgia project. And there's a lot of love and good intentions, and some of it's great. Some of it's not great, but we're happy that it's there.
But the love and care is there.
Yes.
You can see that.
But the point of this here, right, is because of those differences in edition, right, and especially with first edition, is it's wacky sometimes. Vastly difficult to merge those together because there's some very real conflicting ideas. There's usable stuff there. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I've on several occasions talked about some of those first edition books in pulling, the wheat from the chaff, I suppose.
Okay.
It's just one of those things of like, if you're going into first edition, if you're reading in some of the stuff, just remember a lot of these ideas they've got merit to it. There's just a few that like, okay, that's a little much. Just don't be surprised.
Well, I think largely it's that they're a little half-baked. And again, I don't mean that in a shitty way. I mean, like literally, like they didn't have enough time to fully form, because first edition was a very small time. It was a very small area of time when it comes to the overall lifespan of the game. So that shit got put in the oven for about 15 minutes. It was taken out early because it was time for second edition. So yeah, you had a lot of shit. Some good. You okay, Em?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just listening to you talk about the editions. I don't have much to say about it other than I've not really read much of first edition,
Well, that's
so
fair.
I don't know much about first edition.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah.
there is the Rite of Passage book, which does have first of all, it's a book game. So
I forgot about that.
yeah, it's a book game, and in that, we've used parts of it. I've used parts of it multiple times. But you look at that whole book, and there's a lot more there than I use because they jump all over the place. But that said, before you get into the book game section, there's a section talking about Rites of Passage by tribal basis, and that's good to kind of get a rough idea. If you need to on the fly do a single try Rite of Passage. But again, it fails to, like all of the books fail to, cover what it means to do a Rite of Passage for multiple tribes. For a bunch of Garu who are not expecting to come back Silver Fangs or Uktena or Red Talons or whatever.
In a mixed tribal set.
Exactly.
Or what in the world do males born in the Black Furies do? Do they undergo the Black Fury tribe?
And I would say they absolutely not. Because, they're men.
So what do they do? Whose tribe do they use then? Is that covered?
Actually, it's funny you bring it up because it was one of mine. It's not covered here, but the thing of it is what we know is that males born to the Black Furies, if they're not Metis, because Metis can sometimes stick around.
Yeah.
They're given away.
Yeah, usually to like the Bonars of the children of Gaia.
Yeah, mostly the children of Gaia. But Bonars will take everybody because they're Bonars.
Yep.
Well, we'll get there.
Tina also take everybody.
That's true, but they're I think there's a difference between taking everybody and taking everybody.
It's the difference between charity work / we're just going to set you in the dumpster and somebody else is going to find you.
Big Tina's is I'll take everybody with merit.
Right.
It's scouting, charity work, dumpster baby.
Wow.
It's everybody or it's everybody but. You got to make the distinction.
Yes.
Between everybody and everybody. Fucking slow down. But no, before we get into that multi-tribal issues, let's take a look at what the books themselves say about single tribe rites of passage.
Sure.
And since I brought it up, let's go with the Black Furies. I'll go first.
Okay.
It might be the first one in the book, too.
No, it is. So
it is.
Okay, so the Black Furies, their rite of passage comprises of 4 tests, which is going to be a theme. The first is the test of judgment, where the candidate's presented with a situation. It's either acted out by Garu, like a role-playing situation, which irony, or it's a Vista in the Umbra, or sometimes they do like a real-time, real-life scenario. And the deal is the Cub has to decide what action is necessary to take. So, for example, you go to the schoolyard to where the kids are picking on the weird kid, and the Fury would have to decide not only how to punish the bullies, but to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Be that turning them in or teaching the kid how to defend himself or whatever. But that's up to them to decide for the test of judgment. You move on to the test of vision, which is a riddle or a spirit quest. And this is kind of funny to me. Is in the case of the spirit quest, it never goes further than the penumbra, and it's always chaperoned. The idea is because the elders have no desire to lose a new Garu to the Umbra.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's fair, except this is a rite of passage.
Right.
So maybe we shouldn't. If it's sink or swim, why are you giving them arm floaties?
It's that little disconnect there of like, I can understand the, having the chaperone to make sure you don't get too far into the Umbra. But at the same time, like, okay, you should, like, we're just making sure you don't go and get yourself killed immediately. But at the same time, if you fuck around and find out, that's on you.
Like, to me, it's a little, it's like, did you really do it? Or did you need mommy's help? Which is it? Because I thought you're supposed to be an adult now. Fucking cut it out. Mm-hmm. But that's just part 2. It just struck me funny, right? It's like, no, you're going to have a babysitter on the second part of your rite of passage.
If it was part 1, I could understand it in like the let's ease you into this. But at the same time, yeah.
Next is the test of fury. It's more than a simple fight. The fury is tested to see if she can use her rage effectively. Often it's an elder goading the fury into frenzy and see if she can suppress it or lose control or fucking, just go ham and embrace it. Whatever the result, it tells the elders about the cub's power and their faults.
Okay.
And finally, there's the test of mystery, which isn't really a test. What it is they take this pilgrimage. It involves taking part of what's called the Eleusinian Mysteries. And they go to a particular temple where they drink a, quote, special potion that's in there.
Okay.
And essentially they just trip balls for a bit.
So classic Vision Quest.
Nice.
Yeah,
Vision Quest.
classic Vision Quest. So apparently it's supposed to be really painful and terrible. And it's just, you just gotta get through it. It's not gonna kill you. Just trip balls and hurt. And, it was compared to childbirth at one point. Which is weird because they can all do that already.
Yeah, it's weird.
But whatever. I think the thing with me though is, I think it's a little bothersome there because I mean, this whole, the Eleusinian Mysteries, it has its roots, like so many Fury things in Greek mythology. And I have always found that bothersome. I feel the same way about the Get of Fenris in Norse mythology.
Right, because it's not
Daru mythology. It's human mythology that was built later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at least the Get of Fenris stuff has the decency to tie Odin to vampires.
Right.
Like, so at least it's humans' version of Odin's a vampire in truth, but they just made the legend around Odin, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Fucking Zeus isn't anything. It's just someone a dude made up. Unless, I mean, maybe it's linked to Changeling, but it's Changeling. It's not werewolf. So I hate when they ingrain that, and it's so heavily ingrained in the Black Furies.
I'm sure.
From a BTA standpoint, it's driving me absolutely batshit. I had to shelf them for a bit because oh my God, I have to untangle this shit.
It's different between like the reference and or like, okay, this is this mythology with a thin coat of paint or werewolf mythology with a thin coat of human paint.
Yeah.
But when it's like so closely tied and linked, it could be conjoined twins.
Your totem is Pegasus.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with Pegasus as a creature.
No,
but the problem again is it's so ingrained in the Greek mythology.
Your hand's kind of tied behind your back when you're doing anything.
And when we're trying to do stuff like read between the lines.
And divorce it from human shit.
Exactly. It's hard to distinguish the lines that are necessary to read between.
Right, and again, it's hard to get lore that's not related. I've got plenty of cool shit about Unicorn.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
That just has nothing to do with. Just neat lore all by itself, on its own. Hey, cool. Look at the integrating stuff. But Rat, for example, in Chinese mythology was responsible for bringing rice to humanity. Like, hey, what a neat thing. Also, neat something about Wrath. It's not like just disease and awfulness.
Yeah. Or you have Pegasus and the Furies. That's just like, there's one or two stories about Pegasus and that's it.
Yep, and it's all Greek mythology.
Yep.
But, I apologize. There's a little digression there. Since I brought up Rat, however, Danny, tell us about the Bonars.
The Bonars is, it's kind of funny. Because there's not a whole lot about it. But
there is something about it, right?
There's a little bit. There's,
okay.
Their rite of passage is more of just a formality. It's just, we know we're supposed to do it to become part of the Garu Nation, so here it is. But, like, since you're here and you've survived this long already, that's good enough. So just do the formality of it, part of it.
So what is it? Just drink the Elder's cup? Congratulations, you're a boner now.
It's kind of, it's very close to that. It's very low standards.
What have they survived, and what is the formality that they're going through?
Being Garu, having a first change.
That's what they survived. Like they had their first change. That's the survival.
It's kind of it, yeah.
It's
such low standards. But it's another reason of the so many that the Bonars are looked down upon from the other tribes of the Garu Nation. They're like, they didn't really do shit to gain this, status of being Garu. They just had a change. That's it. That's how dare them.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
That's kind of it. There's not very much to say about what they have to do.
Well, you said it was they viewed it as a formality. So what is the formality? You
They
have
don't
to use
even
words.
really say what they do.
They don't say much at all.
They just say, "Oh, they accept them."
Yeah, they're just accepted. They use the words rite of passage again as a formality, but that's it. They just like, oh, since we accept you anyway, everyone's accepted by Rat.
That's so.
It is. It's kind of
Is this
frustrating.
our first instance of maybe dipping into Rite of Passage?
We're gonna have to.
But I have the Rite of Passage book with the entries open if you want me to go through it real quick.
I mean, if you got some, if you got stuff to add for the tribes in the tribe du jour, if you will, please.
Yeah.
What does first edition say about the Bonars?
Yeah, so at that point, that was just the revised book.
Yeah. For the Bonar specifically, it is... Bonars are interested in the development of survival skills of their pups. Because of this, they will often arrange to have the pup abducted from the city and dumped somewhere completely different to make them survive on their own to make their way back.
You know what I love about that? That's the worst idea. Well, think about it, right? Because you're a cub. You are pre-rite of passage, right? So you're not even a Bonar yet.
Right.
So their option, they just black bag you and brought you to the Sept to bring you into the nation. And so their plan is to take you far away from where they are and let you go.
Yep. And then take the black bag off of you.
Right.
And hope you can make it back.
Exactly. Hope that you even are going to try and not just run to the police and go home.
Cool.
And this is where... Actually, I can bring up this point of reading through some of the different rite of passages and some of the different ways tribes handle them. There is a little through line that's mixed up between the tribes of, does this happen immediately after you're found? Or do you have a couple months or weeks of training before your rite of passage?
And that also, is inconsistent.
It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, with the Bonars and with this rite of passage, it would only make sense in my mind if it is the kind of hey, you've survived your first month of us training you, getting you ready, teaching you some survival skills you might not already know. Okay, congratulations, you're getting black bagged again and dumped out in the woods. Make your way back.
Yeah, they've got to be in the cult at that point before you do that to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's, hey, all right, I know that was really traumatic. We're just going to let you go now. It's
Yep.
Enjoy repressing all of this and becoming a lunatic later when your fucking rage takes over.
Or they have to have some kind of monitor watching them.
Is this the second tribe that chaperones their cubs?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're doing that. They should.
Right? What a terrible idea, first edition.
Mm-hmm.
And that will come up again in another tribe.
So next would be...
Then the Children of Gaia are next.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had the Children of Gaia because I do like the Children of Gaia, unlike these sourpusses over here. Anyways, it's not a great book, especially since there was nothing about rites of passages in the Child of Gaia book.
We're 2 for 3.
Right.
Yeah. There was no section. But what the book Rites of Passage says is that it corresponds to one of the solstice or equinoxes. So I guess you have to wait for a specific time of year. Invoke Unicorn himself, who is going to carry the pup to Unicorn's realm and test their hearts.
Twice.
Yeah. Now you're going to a different realm, and you're going to get your heart, soul, and spirit tested.
Tested how?
That was from the first edition. It didn't say.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. But a big surprise.
The Child of Gaia, and the Child of Gaia revised book didn't have anything at all about rites of passage. I controlled F, looking for passage or rite of passage. Nothing. Not a thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I will also say I'm reading this alternate rite, and it is as much nothing as this last one which is they take
It's
into
so
a secluded place with pups from other tribes and tested not only on their survival skills, but their meditation abilities.
I thought that said mediation abilities.
You're right. Dyslexic moment there,
Mediation.
but still.
Yeah. Well, because it does talk about meditation at the beginning. Before it talks about the actual rite of passage, it talks about them meditating a whole bunch before going to the rite of passage.
Which, I will at least give them that they bring up mediation, because that was part of the original vision of the Children of Gaia.
Right.
Was, the ones, trying to bring the nation together and keep the nation held together, which was really them at their best.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best version of the Children of Gaia.
I can agree.
Because it's not completely antithetical to their purpose given to them by Gaia.
Which, that actually gives me a small idea I actually have an idea for that second one I kind of like the image of the Children of Gaia taking all of these, various tribes cast-offs, like the Black Furies and everything. They take them all to the secluded location, put them alone, and the Child of Gaia born character. Okay, you have to make these people get along.
It's not bad.
Yeah, all these hormonal teenagers who are all discovering rage. Make them get along.
I mean, I think you're definitely onto something, because, obviously they don't really have anything, so we can
speculate,
do our best.
Anytime we want, yeah.
I look at Unicorn, and Unicorn is a very peacenik totem.
Mm-hmm.
We put a lot of work in the Children of Gaia for BTA,
Mm-hmm.
so I got a lot of Unicorn on my mind. That's a weird sentence. But, a lot of that brood abhors violence.
Mm-hmm.
You got spirits like Dove, who just is not having it. Which is ironic, because I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it? Not fight me to death? But, and it absolutely creates a disconnect in the identity of the tribe. But you leaning into that, right? You probably want to use something more about finding a better way within the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe try to present a situation where the applicant, if you will, would be able to use wisdom to understand when the time to fight is and when the time to fight is not.
Yep.
Again, that's a fun sentence.
That's fair.
And it's just for my piece.
Yeah,
Then the next tribe
would be Fiona.
Okay. Which I got, and guess what? They actually have a section in their book.
What?
About their rite of passage.
Hey, how many tests is it?
3.
Ha! I'm sorry.
And
Go on.
oh no, it's all good. And this one's also specifically mentioned of it happens a year after the cub is been found and brought into the tribe area.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
So,
there's a timeline.
Yeah, so here's a little bit of that, okay, maybe they've been actually training this cub for this year. But they say the first and most important part of this rite is the cub must be able to recite one of the 12 great sagas of the tribe.
Oh, Jesus.
Interesting.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, they
they
got a whole
make a
year to
note
figure
of-
it out, so.
Yeah, they have a whole year to learn it, to memorize it. And it's mentioned because the whole idea of, since this is an oral culture, as long as one of us remembers one of these sagas, it's never forgotten. The heroes are never lost.
I like that. That's a good, that's good. However, going back to what a fucking bummer that is, what if you're not a Fianna?
Yep.
Yeah.
You come up on a Fianna step and they're like, we're going to make you wait a year.
Yeah, what if
and you've got to
you're not accepted by Stag?
Yeah, you got to learn the saga of Finn McCool, and then
Dad shows up and says, fuck you. No.
right? Cockroach shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, grab yourself a fucking glow stick and a pistol. You're coming with me.
Glow stick and a pistol. Wow.
Nice.
Cool story, bro. Let's go.
Right? Nice creepypasta, dick.
And I will say, they do make a note, Galliards are expected to tell a fuller and more engrossing rendition of the story.
That's fair.
Oh, certainly.
After this is a test of physical prowess, and they give some examples. They actually give example, and the first one's kind of nonsense.
Oh, good.
And it's the It's testing whether or not you have the ability to be running at full sprint in a race and be able to pull a thorn from your foot without slowing down.
Okay, that's kind of impressive.
Like, that's a neat trick, but ultimately, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. The next example they give is having to defend yourself with a staff while buried up to your waist.
Interesting.
All right.
Maybe more useful.
And the last one is defending a section of a log while people are trying to get you off of it.
It feels like those are all kind of the same test.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the physical challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dare, double dare, physical challenge time. Is there one where they have to slide down the gack and pull the key out of the ball pit?
Sadly, no, they only give the 3.
Damn.
And the final test is one of sacrifice. You're expecting that over this year that you've been here, you have to have created something or won something of great value to you. And you're expected for the final part of this in front of the elders, in front of everybody in the cairn, you have to sacrifice it to the cairn's totem, ultimately destroying it in the process.
It's like a baby.
Potentially.
And then Whippoorwill shows up.
Nice.
But then again, yeah, what if Stag doesn't show up for that, though?
Well, it's not Stag that you're sacrificing it to. It's the cairn totem.
Right, but this is for
That's
the rite
the one-
of passage
Right.
for the Fianna.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're reporting to Stag,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Regardless of who the totem of the cairn is, you want... So yeah, but oh my, could you imagine? Unicorn shows up and it's like, what did you do?
Yep.
I was
by the
going to
way,
bring you, oh my god!
Oh.
by the way, they also lied. There's a 4th test.
Ha!
Like, literally, they lied in here, and it's like, oh yeah, you'll spend time in the other world, aka the Umbra as well, where somebody of the tribe will most likely find an incarnation of Stag to take you on a quest.
Well, it sounds like that's where the real rite of passage is.
Yeah, that sounds like a real rite of passage. The rest of this sounds like what they did in the year before the rite of passage.
Which, that does make sense. And I can kind of see that in like the training montage up until like, okay, we're getting a spirit of Stag or one of its brood to take you on a quest.
Right.
Yeah.
And possibly a group of kids. You come back alive, we're going to have a party. You don't come back alive, we're still going to have a party.
Yeah, but it's just a different party.
It's a different party,
Yep.
and you're just not invited anymore. That's all.
Yeah.
Nice.
To me, it sounds like the first couple of tests are what they're doing within the year. Like, oh, you learn to tell the story, you tell the story, you do some training so you can defend a log and pull a thorn out of your foot. And then now we sacrifice something and then call upon a incarnation of Stag to come take us on a actual rite of passage.
Yep.
Yeah, versus us hazing you while we prep you for the actual.
Yeah.
All right, Fianna. Now you're going to put these cherries in your butts and walk them across the room and drop them in this glass of beer.
Oh my god.
Stag wants it. Whatever, shut up.
Sing a song while you do it, please.
That's right, Pledge. I mean, Cub. I gotta go. The beach is that way.
You better drink
I
that
will
beer when
say-
you're done.
I will say the first edition version of it from the Rite of Passage, it's kind of the same thing, but they also have a face safety net built in.
Of
Yeah.
course they do.
So I think we have the better version of it right here in the revised tribe book already.
Probably, but I like to see that consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Because the next one, we get a Fenris. We've said it multiple times. The books have said it multiple times. The Get are the strongest warrior of the warrior nation.
Yeah, the Wendigo say the same thing, and the Fianna also say the same thing.
Well, sure, they all say it. But,
Yeah, but those two are wrong.
yeah, exactly. The Get's clearly right. I mean, Fenris doesn't pull and just take anybody. And because they know that Fenris just doesn't take anybody, only the strong survive. But it's like, it's their way of, it's the motto of not only their culture, but how they deal with the rite of passage. Cubs are pushed to their limits, harassed, and it's not uncommon for cubs to die before Rite of Passage, much less during the Rite of Passage. It's how they can handle these extreme situations. They're expected to be able to sacrifice all for Fenris himself. If they can do it, great. They're in.
Well, what is it?
Yeah, what is the Rite of Passage?
Doesn't go into much detail.
No.
Okay, so your book didn't have the Rite of Passage on there.
I mean, if you want to look it up real quick.
No, I believe you that it doesn't. Because two of mine didn't.
It's often tests of strength and being able to deal with high pressure situations. And again, knowing that you were able and wanting to sacrifice if necessary. But the ones who do, they're in, and they're no longer harassed. They're still tested, but not harassed anymore. And it's because of the harassment, and maybe even hazing, but probably more harassment, that a lot of cubs that grew up with Get a Fenris culture are kind of just go to either the Children of Gaia or the Black Furies.
I get it insofar as, right, to make sure you're also strong mentally and, you have the fortitude to not lose your shit.
Yes.
You know, you were intentionally...
The idea and, like, the principle.
Yeah. You know, you're being pushed intentionally. It's like Carry the Weight, right?
Yes.
Like with Whiplash, where he, brings Jamie out and he puts a noose around her neck and, not tonight. It's not because she's black. It's because her being black is a sore spot for her.
Yes.
So he's going to press that button until she fucking gets over it.
Mm-hmm.
That I get. And if you want to phrase it like that, I'm on board.
Agree, yeah.
Because that's not about...
if it's a problem for a person.
Well, right. It's to make sure that weakness is no longer a weakness. That fucking soft spot isn't a soft spot. And yeah, you need to double down on the fact that once you are a Get a Fenris, you are, and this is especially troublesome when they spend so much time in Revise in particular, hammering down the essence of the Get a Fenris is strong versus weak. We're not, if you're fucking strong, you're strong. Why would you go to the Black Furies or the Children of Gaia to be part of a shittier tribe when you will be accepted regardless of fucking whether you're a Metis or a Hamid or whatever, as long as you are strong enough to make the fucking nut. It's just, it's a bad,
weird.
It's a weird decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just in phrasing and not in intent. I don't know. I didn't write it. I wasn't there, but.
Yeah, no, it says that it's not uncommon for some cubs to die during the Rite of Passage.
Well, that's always the case. It's either you live or you,
Right, but it's also not very uncommon. It's even more common for some cubs to get pushed away from the harassment and go to a different tribe.
Yeah, which, Danny, I'm going to say this real quick with the point of, it's not uncommon for some cubs not to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I was glancing at the Rite of Passage section, and, ooh, boy. It starts off interesting in the, they often cull packs who they don't feel are worthy to be Get. They slay them outright or banish them to be Ronin for the rest of their lives. This is before the Rite of Passage.
And I was curious, so I pulled up the Get revised book.
Mm-hmm.
And they do also undergo a test based on their auspice. So having a sense of humor in the face of hardship for a Skald, whatever the heck that is. I'm not familiar with the Get.
It's their term for Ragabash.
Got it.
That's Ratagar.
Yeah, the Get aren't a favorite of mine.
Skald is the...
Galliard.
Galliard, yes.
Yep.
Rogadar is Ragabash. Modai is Thurge.
Modi.
Forgot Philodox not around.
Modi. There's a Godi and a Modi, of course. Yeah, summoning for a Godi and a great battle for a Modi.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they do undergo something related to their auspice.
Yes.
So that's something.
So they do cover something. It's just not
Yeah, they definitely do.
super in depth.
No, it's not.
I think I appreciate it a bit more personally. It's
Agreed.
More catered to, it's like, hey, we expect you to be a fucking fenner. Now let's see how well you do your job.
It also, in my mind, works better for those mixed tribe packs as well, because you're not just taking, the purely Fenris rites. It's also being catered to your auspice, something that we already know.
Yeah.
So even if you might not be a Fenrir, are you still at least a good Galliard?
No, I agree. I think that's more in line with how they all should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So who is next then?
Glasswalkers.
Which I also have.
How dare you?
So the Glasswalkers is weird. They kind of consider, like, once they find a cub, then they're brought into like a cairn or a sept. Their first 48 hours, their first 2 days of being cub, is kind of like the first rite of passage before their actual rite of passage.
Okay.
So they're kind of like kept under close watch. And how well they deal, their first change, and now being in a new cairn or a sept, everything that's happening, how well they're dealing with it is whether or not they get put on, quote unquote, the fast track. And if they can be put in doing the fast track, they're given easy tasks, sometimes not so easy, but depending on. They're given tasks to do, and it's not so much the tasks they're given, but how well they can deal with those tasks under high amounts of pressure. They do easy with computers. It's like, okay, give yourself a new identity. How well can you do this? And then they're kind of pushed at the same time while they're doing this. Can you deal with this high situation, this high tense situation, while someone's in your face? But if someone's not really good at computers, kind of thing, maybe they have to make phone calls and have everything switched around.
Okay, so this is that pre-rite of passage. Rite of passage.
Yeah.
Do they go into details on the actual rite of passage?
Yep. Well, if they do well in those first 2 days, again, they get put on the fast track. And then on their fast track, they're given, like, more in-depth training. And talking, they put in through the Umbra. Everything's right up front. And then the actual rite of passage, for the ones who got, like, a fast track, well, first, before they're at, for the actual rite of passage, they rank them on a number scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 being the easiest. Usually they're around 6 to 7, but anything above 7, so like 7, 8, 9, and 10, they are given chaperones. And 10 being the hardest, they'll have even more chaperones. Like the higher the number, the more chaperones they're given. And they're usually just there to pull them out if they get into a lot of trouble.
But what are they doing?
What do they need these chaperones for?
To make sure they don't die.
But die doing what is what we're asking.
So number 10 could be a hive crawl.
That's ridiculous.
10
A
could
cub.
be
Exactly.
In a hive.
Exactly.
groups of them.
Here's a Glock. Here's a Glock.
No,
Here's a hive. Go clear it
cubs.
out.
Cubs.
Cubs
they're
in a
put groups.
hive.
Blood, blood, blood.
Yep. Groups are put in like, oh, we have a rank 10. Here's this cub, this cub, this cub, this cub. Well, they're all still cubs, so here's some chaperones, and we're just going to watch just to make sure you don't die.
I figured the chaperones wouldn't be there to make sure you don't die. I figured the chaperones would be there to grab the stuff they gave you after you died.
Maybe. But, like, that's for number 10. If, like, a 1 or 2, and that comes from the ones who were given and put on the fast track.
It's like the most well-adjusted /
Yes. Theirs is like, go get me a coffee.
Also, what the fuck kind of sense does that make? Our best and brightest have the least to do.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the brightest ones.
Let's throw our worst ones away, but then chaperone them so the chaperones will probably die too.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for the chaperone part, I could kind of understand it in the whole, like, you're more trouble than anybody's worth.
So, give me the
let's give you
bonars!
Exactly. Like, that's the whole idea, is like, I could imagine, like, yeah, no, give them to the bonars, or you're gonna go on a suicide mission. Congratulations, you've come back. Okay, cool, we didn't expect that. Maybe we could use you, where if you die, nobody's gonna miss you.
I could see it, right? It's like the worst Cubs. It's like, all right, your mission is to take this slide. And it's just a trash chute.
Yup.
So now they're in the alley and they go like back to the building and the door's locked and just like fucking see ya.
Like, that's the thing is like
What's it called? They're in the penthouse with like the board of directors style meeting. It's like, okay, so you 5 Cubs go to Starbucks.
Yes.
You 3 go through that door. They go in, the floor drops out below them, trash chute immediately into the dumpster where the bonar's diving.
Yup.
But like I said, like the 1s and 2s are simple tasks. Go get me a coffee, bring me a sandwich, or watch him as he makes sure he doesn't die as he just crosses the street. But like the 9s and 10s is you need a chaperone to go with you so you maybe don't die. You still might. But that's a hive crawl. But the ones who have the higher numbers get to come back with already a story to tell. So if they come back, now they're on track. Like track's not a good word to use.
They have the slightly higher standing because they've actually done something.
Yeah, and now
versus
so kind of like it kind of flips.
The coffee.
Yeah, it's so funny and so ridiculous all at once.
I'm going to be honest. I liked the pre-rite of passage things for like the higher ups of like, yeah, we're going to find out what you're good at and then we're going to really test you. Like I can totally imagine you have to make your own identity while we have a couple spirits of like enigmas or viruses going through your computer trying to delete everything. Mm-hmm. And you have your mentor in your face like a drill sergeant the entire time.
Well, after that is the Red Talons.
The Talons don't exactly have centuries of unbroken tradition, right? Being a tribe of lupus.
Yeah.
And it's funny is this is more to me in line with how a rite of passage should be to an extent. As the Talons, the specifics always vary. But most often, the Cubs sent out of the Sept and can return only when a specific goal is met. That goal is usually related to the Sept's needs. Cut and dry. That simple. You know, something is like safeguarding a pack of wolves for a month, bringing back the head of a poacher who killed some kinfolk, you know, clearing out a rival, whatever. It's whatever the needs of the Sept are to prove the worth of the Garu to the Sept and to the nation. In its simplest and purest form.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
That's how I've run Rites of Passage for groups of like mixed tribe. If I start them before Rite of Passage, that's the Rite of Passage I give them.
100%. Because again, yeah, you're right. It's tribe neutral.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you add an umbral component to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can get contact with the totem spirit, you know, that's accepting you. And, you know, in that point as a storyteller, you write a little caveat where everyone splits up, or a vision quest component of it where they don't actually split up physically, but,
yeah,
you know, where they have a small interaction with the totem that chooses them. Boom, you're done. You know, you could still make it unique, you could still make it special, but it's more practical because, yeah, it's showing your usefulness in the nation, it's showing your usefulness to the Sept, and it's tribe agnostic. Where we're, you know, like we're going over these, right? And these are very useful for very specific circumstances. Mm-hmm. But again, like we joked about with the Fianna, you know, Shane McTally, you know, his, you know, epic story is useless when you draw Black Fury.
Right.
Yep.
Not only does Pegasus not give a shit about Black Fear or Fianna heroes, but especially a Fianna dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me about Cock McAsshole. I don't care. You're a fucking Black Fury now. Good thing you wasted a year learning about his life story, right?
Yep. Oh.
I
These are like practical tests, like actually practical.
Right. But no, I mean, that's the long and the short of it with the talents. Like it talks about it. But again, what it talks about is how there's no set guidelines or rules. It's more pragmatic. It's what does the SEP need? Fucking do it. And I feel that
go do that. Don't come back until it's done.
Right. And I think it's the best way to do it. I think these old tribal ones, again, if you're playing a tribal group, great. And if you're doing a story set in the past, when tribes were more insular and we weren't hopping on jets and, like humanity didn't fucking migrate and bleed together like it does now.
Right.
Like, let's face it. If you got your passport ready, you could hop on a plane and tomorrow set up a franchise in France.
If I really wanted to, yeah.
I mean, you couldn't, but theoretically, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. I'm not allowed near the airport anymore.
That's better than what I was thinking.
I'm not allowed.
Funnier than what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm just not allowed in France.
But there you go, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like that's how interconnected we as a species are these days. But in the Dark Ages, of course, you would say like, and this goes back to like, oh, I'm Irish, so I'm a Fianna. Well, that flew in the Dark Age. That doesn't fly today.
No.
Because humans fly. We move and we screw, and that's what we do. That's what humans are best at.
Yes.
Right. And that's why that whole ethnicity to tribe thing is garbage. And it has been for quite some time.
It doesn't work since we started mingling as a species, like as humanity. As a species of humanity, since we started mingling, doesn't work anymore.
Right. What race are you? Human, stupid. That's what race you are.
I love the Red Talons being the ones that have like this is actually a decent standard.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. Not expected though, right?
No, not at all.
Nope.
Yeah, unexpected.
They do it pretty well. They
I'd say that's my favorite one.
Yeah, people sleep on the Red Talons, but they got a lot going on up there.
After the Red Talons, hopefully this one isn't a disappointment. Shadow Lords?
It's funny, I got a little... Because I got the Striders, too.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you get all three at once.
I got a little... It's like it's Porter time. But the Shadow Lords, their Rite of Passage is normally a little bit like an aptitude test, which is like the most boring thing I think I've said in relation to Werewolf. They want to see how the cub performs under pressure, and they chart the course of his life based on those results. So they got plans for you, motherfucker.
Whoa.
Typically, these involve several exercises designed to gauge the cub's decision-making skills. They favor reason over physical prowess, and they usually involve some kind of gamesmanship or even actual games. The goal here is to outthink your opponent. The second common test gauges your loyalty, to the extent of which that you could be trusted with secrets, responsibility, and most importantly, power. And the test is nearly always administered without the cub's knowledge. Well, that's important because if you know you're being tested,
you're not. It's going to be a different.
Right, you're going to put on airs. You're going to put the bullshit because you want to pass. You're not going to be legitimate. So it's almost always done without their knowledge, and that does much to determine the eventual role that they'll play in the politics of the tribe. The test could last weeks or months, sometimes even before the individual is approached by the Shadow Lords.
Oh shit!
Kind of love that, right? So good you're going to be a Shadow Lord. Yeah, we've been watching. You decided that at the cafe last week, right? No, I get it.
Damn.
I will say, going with the games one, I actually have a small example of this, of a test like this being brought up in a game for a potential Shadow Lord, because I had them pick 3 tribes, and we were going to see which one they actually fit in the best in their little demo. And so they got to play a game with the Elder as he was explaining, hey, what's expected of you as a Garu? And it was a game of chess. And I was actually playing it on like a little virtual tabletop thing with the guy. And he called me out cheating multiple times.
Nice.
But they never reset the game. And then he started cheating. Moving a piece here or there, bumping into it sort of thing. And that was the whole point of the game, was you had to win. The first round he lost because I just picked up his king and dropped it off the table.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's funny.
Just whip it in the fucking tall grass. You don't have a king, I win.
Exactly. But it was one of those things of he hadn't even known he was being tested at the point. He thought this was just a lesson with the weird Shadow Lord.
By the way, tests. Multiple tests.
Yeah, no, I was getting it, yeah.
It's another one. And so what's next? Whatever could be next.
Well, that was the Striders, right?
Yeah, it is. Guess what?
Yep.
The Striders, again, 3-part Rite of Passage. And two of those parts aired on Wherever Guy Takes Us.
Yes, they did.
Crazy.
Right? But just to recap them, there's the Trial of Will and Honor. That's will like willpower, not like Will Riker. It's not like Star Trek.
It's the
Will Byers.
Well, I was thinking Will Byers.
It's probably more accurate because the upside down is the Umbra. You have to deliver a message from one step to another. The Cub must memorize this and deliver it word for word, no writing it down, which is both for, the guy, or not just both, but, it's the oral tradition, so you don't want something written down in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It also factors in the lupus angle of things, because you can't read.
You may or may not be illiterate.
Right? Well, if you're a lupus going through the Rite of Passage, you're illiterate.
Yeah.
I promise you, they're not like, we're going to wait 3 years while you learn to read and write. For not being able to read and write for your Rite of Passage.
Yep.
It's not a WRITE. All right. It's not a read and write of passage. Fuck. Step 2 is the Trial of Gnosis and Wisdom, which is to deal with one of the restless dead. A ghost is summoned, the Cub must help it deal with its unresolved business in the living world. Which we saw with the kid whose name I don't remember at the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Tribe of Rage and Glory is to hunt and kill a creature of the worm. It's usually a leech, but it doesn't have to be.
Makes sense.
Right. This I just didn't think would be interesting so I didn't do it. But it's that simple. Nice, yeah. Cut and dry. Boom, you're in. Now it doesn't mention, but it's also very common, and we touched down on this in the same thing, or in that one-off side story, rather, is that they are accompanied by an elder strider who travels with them and teaches them the ropes, usually for a while.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy for your strider to get 6 months of training and being a hobo before actually getting to the Garu business.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. Those 3 steps. I feel that they work very well for the Striders.
Oh, definitely. Especially how it's usually a leech for the third trial.
Yep.
It's just so specific to them with their amazing grudge against the leeches.
Right. Which
the
makes
umpires.
sense. But then again, what happens when it's not?
When it's not a Strider who's going through this, right?
Yeah. What happens if they get accepted by somebody else?
Well, I was gonna later, but that's the thing is, you can always call to a totem when you go to your totem quest. You can always audition, if you will, right? The same way with a pack totem. You can go Twister, fucking, we want you to be our man. We're gonna throw some cows in some wind to prove it. And, maybe cow
Pikachu,
shows up. And
I choose you.
Right? Except that's not what's in the ball.
Yeah.
It was a Bulbasaur because it's better.
And like these tribal rite of passages are the equivalent of doing that calling out or auditioning for that tribe totem.
Right. Doesn't mean you'll get them, but you can call them out. And to that point is, if you call out Fenris and you are not a get a Fenris, you don't make the cut. Fenris might still show up, but he'll show up to tell you to go fuck yourself. He'll show up to give you the L. You just carve it right there in your stupid head.
if you're the Black Fury or supposed Black Fury, Pegasus could just also not show up.
True.
Or get this thing out of my sight.
Right, like in the case of Jasmine Rages Till Dawn.
Right.
You know, step to the bygone visions. They went big for this. Pegasus shows up and get this thing out of my cairn.
Yikes.
Take that.
So
But I will say, aside from the dealing with the restful dead, I like the practical nature of the Striders one, because even if you're not a Strider at the end, the learning how to, memorize that information and get from one place to the other relatively quickly, and then the hunting down a creature of the worm, practical skills for any Garu.
That's true.
Dealing with Ghost, that's the one that's a little...
Well, again, that's very Strider specific, so there you go, right?
Yeah.
So if you're calling... And that's the thing, too, right? Because if you're that cub, and I think this works better for the Striders than others, that, in the Strider comes along and Sekhmet Rainmaker shows up, takes you on the road for 3 months. You get the fun travel montage, you got the giant culvert pipes, the stone and the concrete culvert pipes on the back of a truck, and they're both sitting in there fucking while the sun's going down, bullshitting.
Hell
I
yeah.
love that image.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're gonna call to Owl for your rite of passage.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he says no, as long as you pass, he'll probably say yes. But, I don't know. Circumstances happen. And again, we'll get to that. I want to make sure we get through these because there is that more nebulous aspect I want to talk about. I just kind of want to save it for the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Silver Fangs.
Yeah. So the Silver Fang book is one of the few that have no section speaking about the rite of passage.
We're too busy with the houses and the lodges and
It's just, hey, here's our tribal structure, and here's what each of the 7 houses are, or the 13 houses. I'm confused because it says both of those numbers.
Yeah.
Is it 13 houses and 7 lodges? No, there's 2 lodges, Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Wasn't there 13 and now there's 7?
I think that is the case of, it states that it started off as 13, but here's the 7 you care about, or the 7 that's left.
That
Yeah,
makes
because
sense.
it says in a big header, the 7 houses, the sentence under that big header, of the 13 houses.
I'll bet the rest of that sentence is only 7 you give a fuck about. Or a simulacrum thereof. Well, fine.
Nope. But yeah, it should be. So nothing about their rites of passage. So out of the Tribe book, the first edition, the Silver Fangs perform a special rite which sends their pups back through the bloodline of the Garu to inhabit the bodies of ancient and honored ancestors. They face epic foes and experience the pure, pristine wilderness of the time before the Impergium. How they enact their roles will determine how the tribe views them as a pack when they return to the present. This rite keeps the Silver Fangs firmly grounded in their heroic past.
You know what though? I like that insofar as, I guess to modify that thought, is if you sent your potential cubs into the legendary realm.
Yeah.
To, get this band of ruffians together and lead them to assault the whatever, right? To show your leadership skills and prowess, braveheart the shit out of these people.
Yeah.
That seems, also I do like the idea of you're going to quantum leap into.
Yeah. How are they doing this? How are they inhabiting the
Probably
bodies of their
peyote.
ancestors? Peyote.
Yes.
That seems a little low class for the Silver
But
Fang.
correct me if I'm wrong. I think peyote is in Uktina's brood. I could be wrong, though.
You might be
Possibly.
right. That sounds correct.
I think
It
it's
is
in Uktina's
also
brood.
brought up in the... It's also one of the things explicitly mentioned in the Totem Quest, right?
For the Uktina?
Well, no,
No,
for
just-
the right of the totem right.
Oh, yeah.
Mugwort, peyote,
Do peyote.
saliva,
Yeah.
Yep.
paste.
Do peyote.
Yeah, it's a Vision Quest. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I I like it for the thematic nature of it, but it is kind of so far up its ass.
Which, again, is a bit on
Seems
point.
pretentious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think I like that idea of do the legendary realm, which is basically D&D already. So maybe it's not great for players, but it is on paper, like as a story, to send them to this place, or maybe even Pangea to get one of the caveman tribes together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And overrun a thing.
And from what it sounded like, they're sending them in as a group, and they're having to perform specific roles.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
a
fine.
Historical reenactment.
It would, yeah. And I mean, we're talking about, doing the own at this point because there's so little information, right? I also think that because of Falcon being Falcon, because we talk about how, the totem takes you, that's the one that, the totem accepting you is the thing that makes the difference, Right. Your tribe mates don't have to like you, right? They, quote, do they have to accept you? I'm using air quotes here. The totem does, so it's not really up to them, right?
Yeah.
You can be a pariah and still be a member of that tribe, and you remember that tribe because the totem fucking says so. But and we've talked about what happens when you have, like, just recently we've done with the backgrounds episode. What happens if you have a high pure breed from this tribe, but you end up in that tribe, right? But I don't think that happens in the Silver Fangs because I think Falcon already won't take you. Like, Falcon's just such an arrogant fucking dick.
I agree because of the arrogance of Falcon.
Yeah. He's just going to be, you have dirty blood, so fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also, in like my mind, Falcon is probably the one totem that if you're doing a rite of passage for Falcon, he probably has already called dibs on you.
Probably.
Yeah, you need to be part of the 2, 4, 9, 13, 27 houses, whatever that number is.
The 11D half. It's fine.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely, right? Because you've got peasant blood. You're not one of us. Too bad. Like, I already know. Oh, your grandfather was a bone gnawer. So disqualified is what you're telling me.
Yep.
It seems so Silver Fang.
Falcon is like the one totem I could imagine showing up after your first change, even before your rite of passage, saying, you're one of mine. Now go do the formality.
Well, and I mean, let's take that, let's look at that in the larger scope, because you do need 3 points of pure breed to be a Silver Fang, full stop. So that tells you everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Falcon he's got a ratio. There's a peasant blood to pure breed ratio.
It's more of he's got standards.
You need 3/5. 3/5 of you can't breathe poor people air.
He said he's got standards.
Yeah.
Either you're a legacy or you can't rush this pledge. You can't rush this frat. Sorry. I wonder if he'd let him go, try out just to fail them.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, I think so.
I see. I don't even think he would make it worth his time.
Oh no, he's never showing up for the ones that fail, or that he's already deemed failure. But you can still try out.
He's just eating popcorn and watching with his brood while they laugh at it like a reality TV show.
He shows up at the end, right? Big majestic Falcon on the shoulder of a Silver Fang who's holding a popcorn bowl so he can go down and you put up a most excellent fight. And you proved your worth as both a leader and a warrior.
Cool.
But your blood is made of feces, dude.
Get out of here.
Get out of my house, brosif. Blaine, get this pledge out of here.
Blaine.
I kind of like this dude, bro Falcon, I'm going to be honest.
Right.
Invite the sorority over, dude.
It's the F has got wings on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for funsies. So,
next tribe.
Stargazers.
Yep. And can you guess how much about the Garu Nation rite of passage the Stargazers undertake is in the Stargazer tribe book?
Ooh.
Em's got her hand raised.
Pick me.
M?
0.
Yep.
So the next tribe.
Well, there is a small thing that I can tangentially link to the rite of passage, and the whole fact of this is just a Stargazer thing, apparently, much like the Striders. You're expected to have a mentor. Like, you are being trained by a singular Stargazer until you're either old enough to train one yourself, or until your mentor gets old enough and dies. But your mentor is expected to run you through your rite of passage. That's it.
Yeah, that's
all they have in the tri book. Now, this is why I looked for the rite of passage book originally, is for the Stargazers, because it was a whole lot of nuttin'.
I'm sure this is super helpful too.
It actually is fairly detailed.
Oh, God damn it. What do you got?
Few Stargazers are ever formed in sufficient numbers to make a pack. Their special rite of passage is given to them by any number of Stargazer pups. It's ritually prepared in a specific place with a constructed chamber. The chamber has a spiral ramp that gradually rises up and coils around itself 3 times, and on this ramp are 21 separate riddles or puzzles, each representing a object or a person who challenges the pup, or a spirit itself that is an enigma. If the pup fails, they have to go back down and go through another bout of training until their mentor says, "You are worthy to try again."
So does this chamber exist in a pocket realm, or do all of the Karens of the Stargazers have a chamber for this?
They didn't say, they just say this special place is constructed. So whether it is like, yeah, no, we're going to summon up a pocket realm, or we're actually going to make this at the Cairn. But then again, they don't really have Cairns now.
Yeah. Or as of.
Yeah.
I mean, we're crossing the edition streams here.
Yeah.
Don't cross the stream.
Exactly. Pick the foam of your destruction. I do like that. And also, if I were to call an audible on that, it's totally a singular location in the ethereal realm.
Agreed.
That sounds the Stargaziest version of that.
I absolutely can see that.
You got the ghost of David Carradine giving the riddles. He's got this weird bruise on his neck.
And it was a lot more detailed than I was expecting.
I agree. I really thought it would be nothing.
Yeah. It's nothing in the tri book, because that tri book is just Hengyokai light.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even go into what the Hengyokai version of a rite of passage would be for the Stargazers.
I think it's the second most useless tribe book. Which is a shame, because there's use for another book giving more info on the Hengyokai. There's room for that in the world. And there's definitely room for learning it all what the Stargazers are, and are like outside of Clotel being a hypocrite, and this is what the Hengyokai am. I know what I said. I would add to that, there's definitely, what with Chimera and Chimera's fondness for riddles and mysteries, I could definitely see an Umbral labyrinth.
Oh yeah, it'd be cool.
I like the temple that's brought up, but also, like the Minotaur's maze kind of situation where they have various tests just scattered throughout the maze, and you have to get to the center of the maze. Drink from the golden lotus in the center of the fucking pond. And there's 30. You
just have to get there.
Yeah, there's 125 trials in the course of this maze. You don't have to go through all of them. If you do, you've really fucked up. But because you got super lost. But, just however many you come across on your way to which has the benefit of switching it up every time. Because who knows what you'll run into, right? And as a storyteller, if you're doing this for multiple Stargazers, you can change it up. You could rip shit off from other versions.
It also, in my mind, if this is like a single location, like in the ethereal realm, you get the potential for like, what does a grand gathering of Stargazers look like? As like half the tribe is gathered in a single location.
I think I'm already annoyed, personally.
A little bit.
Fair.
Yeah.
M?
Yeah, I feel that having something like that where there are many trials throughout the maze, the lower number of trials you have to go through to get to the center could become a point of bragging among the Clyaths and the tribe.
Actually, I'll do you one better. For the Ahrons, it's a point of pride. Look how few I had to do. For
Yeah.
like the Thurges, it's the other way.
Look how many I made it through.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's
Like,
the
not only
difference.
did I beat you in time, I outwitted you in every one of these trials.
Well, at that point, the time shouldn't matter, right? To the Thurge, because hey, it's all
True.
relative, and
Yeah.
it's the experience and the knowledge, and yeah, the I had the joy of going through 85 trials,
You wouldn't
Mhm.
have made it through 85. I did.
right? Where the outround's like, I only need to do 3 of those stupid things. Like, give me some
That
nunchucks,
explains a
bitch.
lot.
Yes. Fucking nunchucks.
Or, it's the Ragabash. How many trials were you able to find the unorthodox solution?
Or slip by,
Yep.
Yeah. They almost got me, but
right?
What's it called? I'm reminded of a short of, I can't remember what it was, but it's the old guy who's like getting a bet. So you'll give me $100 if I can do between 3 and 400 push-ups.
That was Christopher Walken.
There we go, Christopher Walken. And he just does 4. He's like, okay, give me all the money. Because he did between 3 and 400. That would be the peak Ragabash moment right there of the either I just slipped by the trial or I'm just going to exploit the wording of this in whatever clever way I can.
Yep.
yep. That's fun.
I saw that in a YouTube short like a week ago. It's Christopher Walken.
Nice.
So now we move on to the Uktena.
And the Ictena actually said something about the rites of passage.
Which is ironic for as secretive as they are.
I was gonna say
Yes.
that. The most
Well-
secret ones. Like, oh, we're definitely
Well-
not getting anything.
They stole the Shredder's Mystery Shroud from first edition.
Yeah.
It is still super secret.
Well, I would hope so.
So we can't
yeah,
tell you.
it's very, very secret still. No 2 individual Garu have the same rite of passage.
Interesting.
Crescent moons, the Thurges, take it more seriously than others, apparently.
Yeah, kind of.
But
tracks.
it doesn't matter what auspice you are. The ritual has something to do with getting a piece of knowledge. You gotta get it.
Just
Now, how you get it, the Rite Masters determine that based on your moon. So you could have to get the knowledge through trickery. You might have to get the knowledge through brute force. You might have to get the knowledge through whatever other means they think would best suit you. Yes?
the Galliards, they do it through song, or it's like, give me
Maybe.
a break, give me a break, break me off a piece of that knowledge, dog.
Yeah, maybe.
That's how they get it.
Could be.
That's
if the
ridiculous.
Rite
I'm so
Master
sorry.
thinks that that's the best, yeah. So now the knowledge could be very straightforward as getting the answer to a single question, or bringing back a question without an answer.
Oh, up its own ass is that.
Now,
What?
you're not to repeat anything that's been done before. That's why no 2 are the same. Because if you repeat something that's been done before by somebody, you didn't bring any new knowledge back.
I've got a question. How dare you?
Yeah.
I told you it's they're secretive, and this is extremely cryptic.
Right?
Yeah. So
fuck it all.
yeah. So the Rite Master plans it for the cub, and so I guess if I were to make an assumption, the Rite Master chooses what that cub is going to need to bring back, like what question they're trying to answer, or a vision quest to bring back a question without an answer. I would assume that's more of a Thurgy thing than an Ahran thing. Unless it's about like tactics and battle, then I guess you could have a question without an answer. But I'm guessing they create this and like send them on some kind of vision quest for it, or some kind of umbral realm, or I don't know. I'd imagine it's some kind of vision quest or some kind of pocket realm.
I would also
Definitely
say,
weird.
reading through the Rite of Passage section for the Uktena here,
Yeah.
it is equally as cryptic and equally unhelpful in first
Yeah.
edition.
Yeah. And if you fail that one, they
Right.
kill ya.
You're either mercifully killed with silver,
With silver.
or maybe put out of your misery as you've been turned into a gibbering, half-witted failure,
Yeah.
thanks to the resanity bending vista that the Uktena invoked.
Well, and we have established years ago that Octena is an asshole.
Yeah.
Octena and he's a scary motherfucker too, which is extra. It makes it better. He will straight up eat you. He doesn't care.
Yep.
That's how they became a tribe. He was eating them.
Yep. Octena is one of those totems that if he shows up for your pack or for your rite of passage, you can't say no.
You also want to avert your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't like being looked at.
Just close your eyes and listen for the heartbeat. If you know, you know.
I think I think if you're gonna do that though, right? For a kind of rite of passage, I think a good the idea of a vision quest to discover a long lost secret, perhaps of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you take that kind of quantum leap concept from the Silver Fangs, but you give it to like a long dead Bane tender.
Yeah.
You know, and so like you have to go through the binding of this Bane originally or something like that to learn some lost secret knowledge of the tribe to which you tell no one because how dare you?
Yeah. Or discovering a secret of one of your ancestors.
Right. I feel like, you know, and then maybe, you know, your status in the tribe as a cub or, you know, as a Goliath is determined by how juicy that secret was.
Yeah.
Maybe an extra, a mark from Octena.
I also forgot to mention, they also explicitly state, I'm not sure if the other tribe books state this, because of my 3, this is the only one that had something about the rite of passage. But this one explicitly states that it is for you to get your Garu name. You get your Garu name here during your rite of passage.
Okay.
Interesting.
I dig that. Well, so, you know, it's something we don't talk about a lot, but there are different naming conventions throughout the tribes themselves. You know, the same way, you know, like it's just mentioned here, you're going to get a Garu name via, you know, your rite of passage. You can still get a deed name on top of that. The same way the Striders have several names their own selves. You know, usually they have a Hamid name that they keep around, but they also have
the ancestral name.
Right. They have their secret ancestral name, and then they have their, you know, their regular Garu name.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. There wasn't more to that.
Yeah, no. That's just a thing I remembered that I left out.
Oh,
Thought it was kind of cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, CJ, let's round us out with the Wendigo. And
So, the
know.
Wendigo Tribe book is very interesting with the level of content they have in, like, the history of the tribe, the locations that they're about, the rites they do have, and, like, the gifts and fetishes and all that. Like, they have, almost 12 pages dedicated to different rites the Wendigo have. Not a single one of them is the rite of passage.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not a single page in that book that I could find even mentioned the rite of passage. Now, the Wendigo rite of passage entry in the book of the same name, the Wendigo take their pups out as far north as possible and deposit them in the frozen and desolate lands. Those who can survive their trek back are welcomed with great joy and treated as heroes for the week.
The week. Congratulations, you survived.
Yeah.
We're going to cherish you for a week.
I mean,
So Bonars, but in the snow.
yes.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Which, I'm going to say for the nature of the Wendigo,
Makes sense.
I think it fits a little better of the whole, like, sink or swim, you're going to survive at all cost. Maybe you come back down a packmate because you ate him on the way back.
I can appreciate that.
Don't eat him on the way back. Don't do that.
Oh, do it while you're there. You'll probably pass like a drive-through on the way back. Fucking.
Although there is a section at the bottom where sometimes they send their defenseless cubs into the middle of a city and drop them off there.
Oh, no.
Well, see, they'll
I have a
totally
feeling that's
survive.
probably specifically for the lupus. But at the same time, that's like, why tack on that part?
So the Bonars can pick him up and bring him in.
They can trade.
Yeah.
Those are the defenseless ones. They're not strong enough. We don't want them.
I could just imagine it now. The Wendigo go and take some of their cubs they don't really like, just drop them out in the middle of the city. The Bonars take the cubs they really don't care for, we're going to send you to Canada. Don't come back. And they're just, the Wendigos show up at a boat, or the potential Wendigos show up at a Bonar care, and like, where the fuck are we? Where the potential Bonar show up at the Wendigo care, just stumbling out of a blizzard, half frostbitten.
Yeah, but now they're heroes. So fucking.
Yep.
Crazy.
How funny.
No, I
for the nature of that tribe, I think it fits a little better.
It fits better. I still don't think it's great, right? Because it's the one that just won't come back. Fucking what? But again, the survival aspect I think is very important, right? It's the elements and the cold, and I think that deals well with Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
And again, let's take it back, and I'm going to speak for all of them, right? I think the Red Talons was the pick of the litter here in terms of the pragmatism of it. The fact that it's kind of tribe neutral.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt anything if you get picked by somebody else.
Right. But if you are going to do tribal specific ones, keep in mind who your totem is. And I mean, this is something that we hit down on, or will be hitting down on a BTA as well, is the way that your tribal totem and its brood, how that matters, and how the personality of those spirits and the messages that they have inform a tribe and a tribe's culture. So, even something as simple as go out into the wilderness and kill this, great beast, or be out there until you get a vision. You'll know when it's time to come back, whatever, mystic, will be very different from Fenris than it will be to Wendigo. Why? Yep. Because Fenris and Wendigo are not the same dude. They have different things to say. They have different motivations. They have different broods and opinions, and that trickles down to the culture of a tribe. So if you're going to do those rites of passage, a tribal specific one, keep in mind who your totem is and what they're all about.
Yep. Even if you're just adding, even if you're writing up your rite of passage for, a character that's already gone through this and you're starting the game that way, take these into account. Take into account the spirit brood who actually showed up, or what spirits influenced this rite.
I agree wholeheartedly. And again, if you're doing a multi-tribal, look back at the Red Talons. Use them. Make that rite of passage something more pragmatic, something useful to the sept. Make it more about how you can help the nation. Mm-hmm. And then the totem itself will come and accept you during the course of it. I want to tack on real quick, because I've been saving this the whole damn time, right? I know we're running a little long here, but it seems, and we brought this up early, right? That there's a section of these rites of the rite of passage, these rites of passages, if you will, that they seem more in tune with the social aspect of the tribe. This is to say, being accepted by your tribe mates, which is neat, but it's not the point of the tribe, right? It's got to be about the acceptance of the totem and the interaction with the totem. I don't have a problem with the idea of kind of doing two rites of passage. One that actually makes you a member of the nation and puts you, in that tribe. And then maybe a social component afterwards to say, hey, I'm to be accepted by your tribe mates. One. So
that one would actually be hazing.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
I
mean, getting jumped in, basically.
But however that goes, right? Like, you look at those, the ones for the Fianna, right? The fun double dare physical challenges and the long story. Maybe that shit comes after your rite of passage once you're accepted by Stag. And by doing those, the rest of the Fianna, boots on ground, Garu Fianna go, okay, you're one of us. We love you. You're family now. Even I know Stag already said so.
But we've all done this. Now we have this thing that we can bond over.
Yes.
Your family.
This is the
family.
tradition.
But now, but now you're part of the family.
Exactly.
Yeah, now you're my sister. Now you're my brother.
And that's something that can be done on any level, after the fact, during the fact. But, you probably do it after the fact. But I think, maybe that's that branch off. There's room for that. But your rite of passage, according to Hoyle, be accepting, you're part of a tribe, you're part of the nation. That's between you and your totem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it should be done afterwards, especially if you go through this rite of passage and you were raised to be Uctina, but then Wendigo accepts you. And maybe you're shipped off to a Wendigo sept. You don't know anybody there. Perhaps then that new, next social passage
Right.
should go on to kind of integrate you into their culture and society.
Right.
Because it's new. And
Or-
you're new.
Maybe that aspect of it never really ends. If you look at, you've been accepted by Grandfather Thunder, prepare to be tested by just about every Shadow Lord you meet for a while.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that varies by tribe and to an extent by sept, too. And I think it's just by the opposite, right? If you're accepted by Fenris, if Fenris says you are strong enough, okay.
You listen.
Well,
Period.
sure, but I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people around you. The rest of the tribe goes, okay. I think that stops the test. We'll train to help us
Yeah.
get stronger beyond that.
Yes.
But I'm not testing you anymore because Fenris said so. And if Fenris said so, look at Uli Brightjaws, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We don't doubt that we're strong enough, because if we weren't strong enough, we would not be getting Fenris. But I think on that note, we've run a little long today.
A little bit.
Had some good
I don't
times.
think
There.
anybody's going to mind.
I don't think so either. So on behalf of everyone here at Scratchwolf Studio, myself, Danny, M, and CJ, we'd like to thank you so much for sticking with us, for hanging out. You showing up every week and your support. It means everything to us. We cannot we can't overstate enough. We do often understate. Sorry. Just how much, it means to us. So thank you so much. Everybody take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Stay cool, because it is ridiculous hot out right now. It's not even fair to the rest of us. I don't understand. I'm sitting there laughing her ass off. She's got a sweater. But the rest of us are dying slowly. So hopefully we'll still be here next week. And you can tune in then, see what's up with the actual play. And then we gotta, you know how it works. Everybody, thanks so much. Take care. And we'll see you next time. Put up a most excellent fight, and you proved your worth as both a leader and a warrior. But your blood is made of feces, dude.